Isakson.
Thank you very much. Thank the Senator from New York. Mr. Chairman, welcome. Congratulations on your chairmanship. For my work with you over the last 9 years in the Senate, I am sure it will be an enlightening period of time under your leadership, and I look forward to serving with you. Secretary Lew, I call your attention to the bottom of page 3 and the top of page 4 in your remarks, where I quote the following. The President has called for streamlining and accelerating the permitting process for infrastructure initiatives, and the budget includes funding for a new interagency infrastructure permitting improvement center to help with these efforts. Is that correct? End quote.
I don't have the pagination in front of me, but that is our policy, yes.
I'll share it with you. It's exactly
I trust
what
it is
read.
correct.
Now, this is a little bit of a parochial question, certainly my own self-interest and that of Senator Chambliss, but it belies everything your statement says. And I want to give you this information. You may not know it, and I would appreciate your following up on it. For 15 years, the Port of Savannah has been authorized for expansion. We've gone through 15 years of environmental studies, NOAA requirements by the Corps of Engineers, oxygenation requirements. The state has raised $248 million to match federal money to expand that port. I traveled with Vice President Biden to Panama and with the mayor of Philadelphia and the mayor of Baltimore just recently because of the Vice President's intent to expand infrastructure projects for the same reasons you state in your statement. On the 28th of February, just a few days ago, after everything had been done, 902 waivers are in both the House and Senate word of bill. The money's been, the President and the Vice President, I don't want to quote the President, I can't quote the President, but the Vice President, and I quote, said we're going to get this project in Savannah done come hell or high water. Everybody at the Corps was prepared to sign the program partnership agreement. NOAA had signed off, EPA had signed off, the money's in the bank of the state, everything was done. The director of OMB called the Corps of Engineers and told them specifically not to sign the partnership agreement. 2 weeks before we passed the Omnibus Appropriations Act, which I was one of the 9 Republicans who voted for it, we met with the director of OMB, and the director of OMB sent personnel from her office to meet with staff of mine and staff of Senator Chambliss to craft the language for the appropriations bill to ensure that she would have the authority, the right wording and the right authority to move money in the budget for FY 2015 from intended to construction. All of a sudden, Friday of last week, the phone started ringing. The directions went to the Corps of Engineers, do not sign the project partnership agreement. I personally got calls from OMB saying there's no precedent to do what we're doing. Just 3 or 4 weeks after we met with OMB staff to craft the language they asked us to get in the appropriations bill. So I can't understand how the administration can say that it wants to accelerate projects when we get a last-minute hold on a 15-year authorization, which every I has been dotted and every T has been crossed. Do you have an answer for that?
Well, Senator Isakson, as Treasury Secretary, I'm not deeply in the individual project decisions, so I can't address the questions of the Port of Savannah. I'll refer the question to our OMB director. But I would say—
I've already talked to the OMB. I would appreciate your looking into it personally.
Yeah, I will take the question back, but obviously it's not a Department of Treasury issue, so I'm going to have to go to OMB with the question. I would say that going back, we have made a lot of progress at streamlining the approval process for important projects. In my home state of New York, Senator Schumer's state of New York, the Tappan Zee Bridge was re-permitted for construction in 18 months, something that nobody believed was possible. So this is very important. It's something we're committed to, and I'll take back your question.
I would appreciate it very much. Mr. Chairman, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I am correct that both the majority and the minority side are still investigating the IRS situation with Ms. Lerner. Is that not correct?
We are working together on the investigation that began under Chairman Baucus, and we intend to continue to work on it and do it in a thoroughly bipartisan way.
The reason I mention that, for your edification, your benefit, the last month I've taken every Friday to do town hall meetings in Georgia. The number one thing that I'm asked about is the IRS targeting of certain groups for audits. The number one thing. It cannot be dismissed as an error in judgment until we get all the facts and find out if that's in fact what it was. So I would encourage you at Treasury, being responsible for IRS, to let them know they're the number one topic of conversation. And when April 15th comes, they're going to be the number one topic for a lot of reasons we're all familiar with. But we need to get to the bottom of that, and Senator Burr is precisely correct. It is the public's number one concern.
Senator, we have tried to be cooperative. We'll continue to be cooperative with this committee's and the House committee's investigation, and The IRS Commissioner, John Koskinen, has made a similar commitment, and we understand you need to complete your investigations. I can just offer our judgment based on what we know.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Isakson. Senator